Hey, what's going on, guys? You got Tone here, coach of the Maine Red Clawitzers, and I am back bringing you guys my draft recap for Season 5 of the National Pokeball League Minors. We are finally back in full swing, and I hope you guys are looking forward to this season as much as I am, as well as the rest of the coaches in participating in the NPL Minors. So, a brief recap of what happened last season. We had a pretty good team. We had stuff like Clefable, Latios, Mega Venusaur, Vaporeon, all that stuff. But we did not do that good. We only went 3-7 in that season, and so we were just trying to right the ship here. So what I decided to do for this season of the NPL Minors was, instead of just trying to, I'm going to try to get to try for a promotion, of course, but this time around I'm going to try my hand at using Pokemon in which I've never used before in draft format. It may be a bit of a hindrance at times, yes, and it may be a sense of straying away from what I'm comfortable with, which is bulky offense, balance, but mainly bulky offense. But I felt like with the way I wanted to go into this draft, I wanted to not only use Pokemon I haven't used before, I also wanted to have some sort of plan in mind in terms of trying to find some synergy between said Pokemon in which I've never used before. And as you see on our screen, you see with my round 1 pick being Mew. I picked 4th overall in the draft, and same rules apply from the last season, in which each team is given 120 points to draft between 8 and 12 Pokemon. And I started off with Mew because I like using Pokemon that has a lot of versatility, and nothing is more versatile than Mew because of the fact that it can pretty much run almost any kind of move. They can run any kind of set that you want it to be: defensive, specially defensive, offensive, with nasty plots, sword stance, baton pass, the whole 9 yards. Another thing to know, speaking of baton pass, baton pass can be run on as many Pokemon as you want, but the issue is you just cannot pass speed. You can't do speed pass, you can't do smash pass, you can't do speed plus another stat and all that stuff. So if I do use Mew, I cannot do like sword stance, rock polish, baton pass, nothing like that. I can do SD pass, I can do iron defense pass, that sort of thing, but anything else is out of the question. So speaking of speed passing, my next pick ended up being one of my main contributors to my team last season, which just so happened to be Scolipede. So the idea with Scolipede pairing up with Mew is the fact that Mew can struggle a bit if I'm not carrying the right coverage for opposing bulky psychic types. Scolipede can switch in. I'm not switching directly, but it can threaten those psychic type Pokemon out with the with Mega Horn and whatnot. And I already told you that speed pass is banned, so that's kind of the nerf on Scolipede in this case, because of the fact that I cannot baton pass. I can't do speed boost plus baton pass with my Scolipede. That was the main caveat. So it may have been a stretch to some people thinking that, okay, why are you grabbing it round 2 despite that. And the main reason why was because of the fact that Scolipede is not just limited to just being a speed pass user or whatnot. It's still a very good offensive juggernaut. It also can be brought with spikes, toxic spikes, endeavor, and all that stuff. And it is a very solid Zmon in terms of its coverage options with Savage Spin Out, Tectonic Rage, Hydro Vortex. I did bring Z-Move Scolipede a couple of times last season in the NPL Minors, and it did put in some work for me, so I can't complain about how Scolipede can function. I know how Scolipede can work, and I think just pairing it up with Mew just gives me that option, a solid core to work with in terms of trying to build bulky offense. But as you see by the rest of my team, it kind of strives away a bit from bulky offense, which I'll get into in a sec. So that is my Scolipede for round number 2. So for round number 3, I wanted to grab another Pokemon with versatility, and at the same time I wanted to try to get something in terms of bulk, in terms of trying to start my Dragon Fairy Steel Core at the very least. And with that, my round 3 pick ended up being Heatran. Now, some people are not really fond of Heatran in the very sense that there are just some ways that you want to bring Heatran in a certain way and then you can't, and then a lot of people are turned off by like having a bond that's 4 times weak to ground. And then, but to be perfectly honest, I actually wanted to try Heatran for quite a while now, simply because the unique typing Fire Steel gives me a fire immunity. It's double resist fairy, it's a poison immunity, all that stuff. So, and Heatran isn't just limited to being a stealth rocker. It can be choice scarf, it can be offensive. It has a lot of things going for it for the most part, and I could have probably waited a little bit, like an extra round, to try to get Heatran, but I figured I'd grab it here just in the sense that I wanted to get another stealth rocker that could pressure out. I could check fairy types, even though I do have Scolipede, but I figured as I wanted to have a more durable, reliable way of dealing with fairy types, and starting my Dragon Fairy Steel Core out with Heatran felt very nice in my opinion. So so that is my Heatran. So for round number 4, I really wanted to get a bulky grass type, and I figured at this point, if Tapu Bulu fell to me in round 4, I would grab it. I wasn't trying to do Bulutran, to be perfectly honest. I just wanted to try to get a bulky grass type because the last season I did not have a real ground resist. Like, I had stuff that could take ground hits, but nothing on the realm of actually switching in and resisting it. So I had other options other than Tapu Bulu. I wanted to try to get Superior, I wanted to try to get Shaman, but all those options fell by the wayside, and they all got taken in round 4, or Shaman in round 3 in its case. So with my round 4 pick, I ended up going with Decidueye, and now Decidueye is not really what comes to mind initially as a ground resist, but it does resist ground. It's not bulky on the physical side, but it definitely can take hits. Decidueye is also versatile enough that it can be another baton pass recipient. Now you see the theme of my team here is it's basically revolving around baton pass. It wasn't really my idea going in, but I just wanted Decidueye for mainly the reason of just having some sort of bulky ground resist, an ability to be run physically offensive, specially defensive. It can do physically defensive, it gets access to U-turn, Spirit Shackle to trap more passive stuff, Haze to deal with more potent setup sweepers that my team can struggle with. So that was the general idea behind grabbing the Decidueye, and that was basically just for those main reasons. It also helps out Heatran a lot, as it is immune to fighting, it resists ground, and it resists water for Heatran. And of course Heatran is immune to fire attacks for the Decidueye, resists flying, and some other key resistances like ice and whatnot. So that is my Decidueye for round number 4. So heading into round number 5, I decided I wanted to try to get a ground type at this point, just to have some sort of electric check. Sorry about that. At the very least, I wanted to try to get an electric check, so I felt like getting a bulky ground type was in order. I also wanted to try to get a ground type that was a bit more offensive. I was thinking initially about Nidoking, but I didn't want to get 2 poison types just yet, or it didn't really fit the strategy, because while Nidoking did resist electric, it was more of an offensive sort of check, so I wanted to try something else, and I noticed that my team was really lacking priority, so I wanted a ground type that has priority, and it's also an electric check, and that Pokemon ended up being Mamoswine. Now, not initially speaking, I wasn't thinking of Mamoswine in my initial draft plan, but when Mamoswine fell to round 5, I was like, you know what, I'm just going to grab it up, mainly because it's a very hard hitter, it's a very Potent attacker, ice plus ice ground typing is just crazy good. And more importantly, it gives my team something that really lacked, was a strong priority. I know the Decidueye gets Sucker Punch, same thing with Mew, but Mamoswine's Ice Shot is a lot more prominent in the sense that it can actually pick off some weakened foes. It's stronger, more reliable, it can't be bypassed by status moves and all that stuff. It also gives me another Stealth Rocker, which is also nice, but at the very least, it gives me a very hard hitter on the offensive side. I can pressure a lot of things with Icicle Crash, Earthquake, bulky water types can get hit by Freeze Dry if I do decide to bring in and all that stuff. So yeah, that's pretty much the main reason for Mamoswine here. It's kind of funny that I never used Mamoswine in League format before, but this is the first for me, so hopefully it goes well. So moving on from round to the last few rounds for me, and that was basically going back to trying to fill out that Dragon Fairy Steel Core. So I used this Pokemon in the past to some good success in my opinion. So with my round 6 pick, I ended up going with Primarina, and if you see my run with the NPL, I absolutely love Primarina just because it is just so bulky, it is so strong with choice specs. Complements Heatran very well in the sense of being I have another fighting resist, but basically this gives me a hard hitting special attacker, which I did sort of lack on this team, and it gives me the unique. It gives me a good water fairy type, so I have a water check, I have a dragon check, a hard hitter with Specs Moonblast, Specs Scald. Another, it gets Aqua Jet too, if I want to get cheeky and run Aqua Jet Primarina, I can. But Primarina is a lot bulkier than some people think. It's very strong, very hard hitter. So that was my main idea going with Primarina here, just having a hard hitting special wall breaker, having a dragon check. It gives me 2/3 of my Dragon Fairy Steel Core, and at the very least, it gives me some familiarity because I've used Primarina in the past. So that is pretty much why I would decide to go Primarina here. Like funny enough, Tapu Fini was still around, and so I could have went Tapu Fini, but if I brought Toxic Spikes, it's going to get a little bit more hectic, in my sense. So I kind of passed up on it. I decided to get Primarina, which is cheaper. I save back on my points and all that stuff. So yeah, that's the main thing about Primarina for my team. So yeah, that's my Primarina for round 6. So round 7, I wanted to try to get a Dark type. I needed to have a Psychic check on my team, and at the very least, I wanted to have a fast Dark type at the very least, because of the fact that my fastest Pokemon at the moment is my Scolipede at 112, and then I have Mew at 100. So I want to have something bridge that gap in the middle. So with my round 7 pick, I ended up going with Zoroark. I never used Zoroark before, but I have seen it put in some good use in some leagues, in some people's hands, just because of the fact that Illusion can cause so many problems in terms of prep and whatnot. So this gives me a fast Dark type. It gives me a Dark type with access to knockoff. It can get Stab Sucker Punch. It can U-turn, which is nice for that extra momentum. At the very least, it gives me, like I said, it's one of the strong Psychic check. Zoroark can do that and more. I give me something fast, like a fast Choice Scarf user. If I decide to bring a Choice Scarf, it gives me a powerful special attacker with access to Nasty Plot, can Sword Stance. So the possibilities are endless for Zoroark. At the same time, it also can cause confusion. Like I said, Illusion can screw up some people's strategies unless they know for sure it's Zoroark. Then they can't be 100% safe about clicking bug or fighting attacks against whatever it's disguised as. I can disguise it as my Primarina, prevent it from being people from going for close combat, and I can U-turn out, predicting them to switch. And then I can disguise it as Scolipede, I can disguise it as Mew. Pretty much I can disguise it as pretty much anything on my team, as long as they don't really share the same weakness, for the most part. So that is Zoroark at round number 7. So for my round 8 pick, I wanted something to complete my Dragon Fairy Steel Core, and I wanted to use this Pokemon a little bit, so just because of all the new buffs I got in this generation for Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon. So with my round 8 pick, I decided to go with Como here, and my reasoning for Como is 2 reasons. It was either Como or Haxorus that I was thinking about doing for this draft, but I ended up going with Como just because of the fact that Como is not just a one-trick pony. It can do Swords Dance, it can Belly Drum, it can Dragon Dance, it can Autotomize, just any sort of setup in general. It also gives me another Stealth Rocker if I really want to bring rocks on Como, so that gives me a total of this is my 4th Stealth Rocker here, and I feel like it pairs up very, very well with Primarina and Heatran, completed my Dragon Fairy Steel Core. It also gives my team needed rock resist, as I didn't really have anything that could switch into stuff like Stone Edge. It is pretty bulky. Oh yeah, I forgot about Bulk Up, speaking of which, so I can run Bulk Up Como if I really feel like doing so. It also helps out with the fact that I do have Zoroark, which has access to Memento, so Memento into something like Como or Scolipede, or my Mew, at any summon at my disposal I can just go in. Como is no exception, I can Dragon Dance up, or Autotomize, and then just fire off a big hit on the following turn with Dragon Fighting coverage, only be resisted by Fairy, and I have Heatran to deal with Fairy types, so very, very solid pick. In the combination of Como, Primarina, and Heatran for my Dragon Fairy Steel Core. So yeah, when we get into the last few rounds, there was a couple of things I really wanted to try out. The first thing I needed was a faster Pokemon, because I wanted some added speed, and I wanted some added momentum on my draft. So my round 9 pick ended up being Mega Magnetric. Now, anyone who knows my use of Mega Magnetric in the past would know that I played Mega Magnetric very, very bad that last time I had it in League format. And that was basically because of the fact that Mega Magnetric is good, but I kind of didn't like it because of the fact that it was so one-dimensional. But I did need something fast. I needed something with momentum, which give me Volt Switch. It does get Intimidate, so it makes it easier for my mon to set up if I do need to bring setup sweepers. But just fast momentum between Thunderbolt, Volt Switch, Flamethrower, Hidden Power Ice. That's probably only the main reason why I didn't like Mega Magnetric, was because of the fact that it's very predictable in what it brings. And there's no added coverage for Mega Magnetric, but I still decided to give it another go, just because of the fact that I needed that fast momentum grabber, and Mega Magnetric was the main mon that did that for me. So that's my Mega Magnetric in round number 9. So I ended up only paying 1 more mon in this draft, so I only have a 10 mon roster. So with my last round pick, I wanted... The main idea behind my last round pick was I had a lot of physical attackers on my team, or potential physical attackers, and I didn't have anything that could status absorb at the very least. So with my final pick in the draft ended up being Hariyama, and the reason for Hariyama is the fact that, like I said, I didn't have anything that can absorb status, so I wanted something that can switch in on Scalds, and if they get burned, I get a Guts boost from with Hariyama. It also gives me Thick Fat, so I have another Fire and Ice resist. And it's pretty much between Guts and Thick Fat for Hariyama for the very least. But I just wanted, like I said, I just wanted a status absorber, something that can switch in on Will-O-Wisp and Toxics and whatnot, and really punish my opponent for statusing my Hariyama. It gives me extra priority with Fake Out and Bullet Punch, another knockoff user, which I only had Zoroark for. So, and it's a very, very good bulky mon. Slap on an Assault Vest and then takes hits for days. That's can't go wrong with that. So, yeah, I'm sorry about that. So that's my draft for the NPL Mana Season 5. I hope you guys are looking forward to this season as much as I am. Like I said, I've never used, outside of Scolipede and Primarina and for the most part Mega Magnetric, I believe. I think I've used everything. I haven't used everything else on my draft, so it's going to be interesting first couple of weeks with this draft, especially considering that there are some flaws to my team. More notably, my ground resist is Decidueye, and my entire team is grounded, so I might have to change up some of my make some transactions to mitigate that issue. So yeah, that's gonna be pretty much it for me, guys. I hope you guys did enjoy my draft recap. I hope you guys looking forward to my team. And before I forget about my before I sign off, in terms of my Zmon users, all teams are given 25 points to use for any Zmon user they choose. And while it was very, very tempting to make Mew one of my Zmons, if I made Mew my Zmon, my other Zmon would have to be Hariyama. And I felt as though that Scolipede would be a lot more useful with Z moves as opposed to Mew. So my Zmons for this draft are going to be my Scolipede and my Decidueye. Decidueye mainly because it helps with mitigate the knockoff weakness, and Deciduum Z with Sinister Arrow Raid does hit pretty damn hard, so can't really complain about that. So so now that's pretty much it for the draft before I have another mental lapse here. So thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy, leave a like. A link to all the coaches of the NPL minors will be in the description. Feel free to check those guys out and subscribe to them. Battles will be going up every single Thursday. Starting this coming Thursday, when week 1 starts up, we will be playing Keegan and his rebranded Olympique Flygon. I'll also leave a link to the Discord server where all the coaches are, so feel free to join the server, cheer on who your favorite coach is and whatnot. I also want to give a huge shout out to Frieslander, who made these draft slides for the NPL minors draft, as you see in front of you. I'll also leave a link to the draft stream in the description. It should have been uploaded already to the NPL channel. And I'll also leave a link to all the coaches in the NPL majors, as their draft is also going to be starting up pretty soon-ish. So yeah, that's going to be it from me, guys. Like I said, I hope you guys enjoy. You leave a like, subscribe, leave a comment if you think you'll enjoy this team. So that's going to be it from me, guys, this time for sure. But until next time, guys, this is Tone signing off. Peace out.